When I'm on the toilet, I have to read. It's a thing that I do. I'm sorry, maybe it's TMI, but you should know. Hey everyone, I'm Trace. Thanks for tuning into my channel. You probably already know that. Now let's talk about my poops. So when I was a kid, I used to go to the bathroom and I would sit on the toilet, and if I had nothing to read, like a magazine or whatever, the children's Bible, whatever happened to be in the bathroom, if I had nothing, I just needed something. I couldn't go. So I grabbed a shampoo bottle and I would literally read the back of the shampoo bottle. That actually never stopped. I still do that to this day. And not read shampoo bottles. I read while I'm on the toilet. So there I was in the shower the other day having literal shower thoughts, and I was reading the shampoo bottle, and on the shampoo bottle it says paraben free. What does that mean? I don't know. So looked it up. And here we are. Parabens. A paraben is a chemical, but it's also a compound, but it's also congratulations in Portuguese. It's for Ben in Spanish, and if you search for P space Arab space EN, then you get auto-corrected on Google to the Philadelphia Arab Ensemble, and they're actually pretty good. I'm very thorough. But also, in chemistry, a paraben is a group of compounds that are used as preservatives in pharmaceutical and cosmetic products and in the food industry. At its heart, a paraben is an antimicrobial or antifungal compound. It keeps our deodorants, our shampoos, our toothpastes, our lotions, and some of our food and beverages from developing bacterial and fungal colonies inside of them. It extends the shelf life of our products. We don't usually worry about shampoos becoming petri dishes, which is kind of strange if you think about it, because if you have an opaque shampoo bottle and it's in the bathroom where it's warm and wet and dark sometimes, you've basically created a really great place for bacteria and fungi to grow. And if you buy the family size bottle, they're so big that they last for a year or two. Ugh. Parabens help keep these little critters from critting, if you will. It's called a preservative. So if you were to rub it on your face, it would preserve you? They aren't actually for you. Even though it says preservative, it doesn't help you at all. It helps the product that they're in. But parabens, speaking of preserves, can appear in baked goods, beverages, syrups, jellies, jams, and preserves. You, as a concerned human who clicked on this video, probably want to know what it does to your body. So let's talk about that. This all started way back in 1924. A researcher whose last name is Sabalichka studied this naturally occurring compound called PHBA, p-hydroxybenzoic acid. Today we know that it's found in things like St. John's wort, green alga, certain mushrooms and wine, vanilla, acai oil, cloudy olive oil, and in humans after they've drunk green tea infusions. I don't know why, that's just what the science said. I was just reading the science. Sabalichka in, again, 1924, realized the potential of this stuff as something that kills microbes. And by 1930, it was first used as a preservative in a product. By 1939, it was already thought of as one of the best preservatives around. It's cheap, it's odorless, it's colorless, it kills lots of different types of bacteria, and it can do so at various pH levels, which is really important in terms of putting it in lots of different things. As far as we could tell, it was non-toxic. The human body could process it and pee it right out. It would convert it and eliminate it through urine. And they knew all of this stuff even back in the 30s. So they thought, let's put this in everything. So for the last 80 years or so, we've been putting parabens in all sorts of commercial and industrial products. So once they've done their thing, you can rub that lotion on your body a year after you bought it, or you can eat jam 6 months after you've opened it, or you can rub jam on your body. There's no kink shaming on this channel, you do you. But again, it's not really about what it's doing to your body, it's about what it's doing for that product. So I guess the question we would have to answer next is then the mechanism of action. Parabens are not one thing. It's a family of different things. So they kill bacteria in a couple of different ways. For Staphylococcus aureus, for example, or staph infection, the parabens act on their membranes, the membrane on the outside of the bacteria itself, and it weakens it, popping them like a little balloon. For other pathogens, it will act on the mitochondria inside of the cell itself, the powerhouse powerhouse of the cell, and it stops the ATP process and causes the cell to die. The interesting thing here that I was actually worried about when I started researching this is it's not a drug, because when I think of things that kill bacteria, my first worry is whether it's helping us create superbugs, because superbugs are the thing that I am most afraid of. No triclosan, no superbugs. Please stop using triclosan, please. Even though it's not a drug, it is a chemical or compound, p-hydroxybenzoic acid. Parabens are also a family of alkyl esters, meaning it's an organic compound that reacts with water to produce alcohol and organic or inorganic acids. And if for some reason, I don't know why, maybe the internet, you're irrationally afraid of the word chemical, this is where you start sweating. But I'm just gonna stop you right now. We're not gonna just, stop. Esters are not inherently bad. Esters give flowers their fragrance and fruit their flavor. Esters are found in bananas and pineapples and wintergreen flavors, all thanks to esters. Nitroglycerin is a nitrate ester, and that explodes, which is bad. But polymethyl methylcrylate ester is plexiglass, and mylar is also an ester. So esters can actually be lots of different things. Phosphate esters are nucleic acids. Maybe you've heard that term before. That's right, that's DNA and RNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid. Chemistry is complicated. So even though ester and chemical and alkane and all of these things sound creepy, you can't just put them all under one umbrella because they're all different things. So again, parabens are a family of compounds that pop bacterial cell membranes and kill them even at very low concentrations, and actually protect your products so that you don't have bacteria that you're rubbing on your face if you use lotion that's a little too old. So once you put parabens on your skin, let's say with a lotion, subcutaneous fat in the skin will break it down and metabolize it. Once it's inside the body, let's say if you ate it, then a liver or a kidney would break it down. And that's where scientists thought was the end of the line for a long time. They figured people just urinated it out and it was over. However, it turns out they were wrong. It can show up in blood and in breast milk, but more on that in a second. FDA says the most common type of parabens are methylparaben, propylparaben, and butylparaben. Even though parabens are found naturally, the ones that we use in our products are synthetic. And to create a paraben is a pretty complicated process. So let's demystify parabens a little bit and tell you the chemical process for how you would make a synthetic paraben. You start with salicylic acid, which is found in the bark of willow trees and is the main active ingredient in aspirin. Yeah, salicylic acid is the basis for aspirin, and it comes from willow bark. You convert that into dipotassium salicylate, which is a salt form of salicylic acid. And from there, you take it and put it in a tank filled with carbon dioxide, and you heat it. And that's it. The atoms will rearrange into 4-hydroxybenzoic acid. Then, if you heat that in the presence of sulfuric acid, you get methylparaben, which is the most common paraben. And that's just one way to make it. There are lots. So when they say synthetic, what they really mean is they take willow bark and they put it through a variety of different processes and they get methylparaben. None of these things are too crazy, right? Little carbon dioxide, little sulfuric acid, little salt, you mix them together, you get yourself a methylparaben. So there's a problem here, because there is a debate whether or not these parabens are considered natural. Even though some do occur in nature, the ones that we find in our products are actually synthetic. They're created. However, you can't just say chemicals versus natural because of where parabens come from. The thing is, even though they're synthetic, and that also seems like a scary word, the CDC and FDA review these compounds all the time and have been looking at parabens for a long time because there has been concern. But the FDA doesn't actually regulate preservatives in cosmetics. They just tell you whether the product as a whole is good or bad, and they make sure that the labeling is honest. But the CDC has looked into parabens, and they found parabens are not teratogenic, which means they don't harm embryos, which includes, babies. Parabens are not found to be toxic when administered for weeks, both orally and intravenously to animals. Parabens are non-allergenic. Although there are some humans who react to it, they usually do so when they already have damaged or irritated skin. If you're down in the comments yelling at me right now, just know that I'm pointing this out. If you have skin that is really sensitive, or you have skin that's damaged, then you might have an increased chance of having a reaction to a paraben product. And that's something that they know, and they're clear with usually on their packaging, saying if this irritates your skin, stop using it and consult your doctor, right? This is pretty common, and that's where that comes from. Parabens are not all shiny. There are very inconsistent studies that show parabens may decrease the size of the male organ. It also may decrease increase sperm count and motility. A very famous study from 2004 found 19 of 20 women who had malignant breast tumors had parabens inside of their breast tumor. However, they didn't look elsewhere for the parabens, so they might have been in other tissues, we don't know. And they only studied 20 women, so it's not generalizable to all women. And there was, and I'm going to say this twice, no cause relationship here. There was no causal relationship between the parabens and the tumors. They just found them milling around. And I know it's difficult, but it's kind of an innocent till proven guilty thing. They can't cause the tumors that we know of. We could just raise the red flag and say, oh my God, there were parabens there, they must all be evil. But we can't actually say that scientifically. Also, in the dark side of parabens, parabens are one of many chemicals that the body kind of treats as if it's estrogen, even if it's not. Think of estrogen as a key and your body or parts of it as a door with a lock in it. Estrogen unlocks that door and lets your body do all sorts of different interesting things. However, it's less than 1/10,000th the strength of actual estrogen. In order to get an estrogenic effect that might affect you, there's two different effects there, by the way, A and E. Whoa, grammar. You'd have to have a concentration that you would never be exposed to in any kind of normal way. I don't know your life. Again, no kink shaming. If you fell in a vat of it, a la Two-Face, maybe, but wow. But just in a regular day, it's very, very weak. And hundreds of studies have found no real problems with people's paraben intake. However, now parabens are starting to be found out in nature, and that might be a concern, but really it's a little too early to say. If you're worried about parabens, then maybe just buy shampoos that say paraben free, like the one that I have that I bought accidentally. Please stop shouting chemicals when you see words that you don't understand, because it's more complicated than that, and it always is. DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, is an ester chemical. And also stop shouting all natural. Poison ivy is natural. Lead is natural. And lead will straight up kill you. However, you don't need to justify it by creating a tribalist mentality of us versus them. People who like parabens versus don't. Just do what you want. It's cool. And also, if you're really worried, look it up. Google it. We've been studying these things for 80 years. We have a lot of science on them. So to wrap up, parabens are an antimicrobial that is not a drug that exists to extend the shelf life of cosmetics and foods and shampoos and lotions and all sorts of other interesting things. It's got a chemical sounding name which can scare some people, and there's a big rush to ban it and control it, but it does not have any actual science saying that it is bad for you. There's just a case study and a lot of concern, especially in the natural and health community. Whatever you decide to do, I hope that this video helped give you a little bit of information. And just remember, when it comes to this stuff, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself and a lack of real information. That's scary if you know how they work and what they are. I'm gonna keep using this shampoo, and maybe I'll buy a paraben-free shampoo in the future because now I know more about it. I'm not gonna do it because I'm worried about cancer or because it seems more natural to buy paraben-free. I'm gonna do it because I don't want the fish who live downstream from us to have to worry about estrogenic molecules. In the same way that I don't want them to worry about microplastics in the ocean, so I don't ever buy those scrubs. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Trace, and if you have any suggestions for future videos, tell me in the comments below. While you're down there, look up my Patreon. There's a link in the description if you want to support me. That would be so awesome. It helps me make more videos here in my home studio. Also, one last thing, please subscribe if you haven't already, and share this video with your friends who may also have concerns about parabens. If you want to watch another video all about chopsticks and how we're using them wrong, but we're not, click here. See you next time.